Alright, this is my third time making this video because my OBS keeps crashing. What's up guys, it's Nick2. Today I'm going to be showing you guys what types of loot, gear, etc. you want to be trying to look out for, and just some build tips in general to help you get started. I'm going to be going over what weapons are pretty good, what roles you want on your gear, talents, all that sort of stuff. I'm going to be looking at this from a pure damage perspective, so if you're like a skill build type of a guy, this is probably not the video for you. This is just all about doing as much damage as humanly possible and how to maximize that and what types of gear you want to be looking out for. Of course, the update came out like 2 days ago or whatever, so a lot of this stuff may get outdated. This is by no means a build video. This is just my first impressions and what I think you should be trying to look out for early on, and just some tips that I have over trying to make a build, like looking at all of the stuff that's in the game. Like I said, stuff is subject to change. There are exotics that I don't know about. There are high ends that I don't know about. All that type of stuff. Obviously, I have a camera on. If you don't like that, please let me know in the comments below. If you do like it, please let me know in the comments below. I'm happy to have it on or off. I don't really care. I'm used to being in front of the camera from streaming over on Twitch. If you want to follow me on Twitch, please do. Twitch.tv/Nick2. You can come ask me questions, play with me, watch me make builds, all kinds of stuff. I'd love to see more of you guys around. And of course, if anybody needs help like getting to level 40 or setting up a build, farming for build, anything like that, email me at nick2biz@gmail.com. So yeah, let's just jump right into it, boys. Like I said, looking at this from a pure damage perspective, and things are subject to change. This is just what I have figured out so far. I'm going to do my best to keep this concise, although this is probably going to be drawn out because there's a lot of information to unpack here and a lot of stuff that I've learned over the course of the last couple days. So I will do my best to keep it short and sweet, but it's probably going to get a little bit long. I think it's best that way though, so that everybody gets all the information. Okay, without further ado, we're going to start off with weapons, and then we're going to talk about roles on gear. We're going to talk about talents after that, and then we're going to go over the brand sets that you want, what specialization is good, and the skills that you want. I'm just making sure my OBS didn't crash because it keeps happening. Okay, in terms of weapons, I'm using LMGs right now. LMGs are really strong. They have really good base damage, really good built-in headshot modifiers. Their mag size is huge. They get damage to targets out of cover. I think LMGs are probably going to be the strongest weapon type at the moment. However, if you don't like using LMGs, hey, no problem. You're not going to be too far. You're not going to be like too far behind. It's just if you're a min-maxer and stuff like that, you probably want to be running an LMG. But if you want to run an AR, go for it. I'll just quickly talk about what the best weapons are for each weapon type. However, I don't know anything about SMGs or shotguns because I typically don't think they're very good in a PvE setting. By the way, this is all for PvE. For PvP, do whatever you want over there. I'm not focused on PvP. Alright, I like PvP, but in this game the PvP is kind of a meme, so I'm not really going to be focusing on PvP. So, for LMGs, you want a Negev. Negev, simply just the best one. Second to that is an MG5. The Negev, base damage, RPM, mag size, everything is absolutely insane about that gun. MG5 is pretty much as a close second. The only downside of these is their massive reload times. The only way to negate this, which by the way you don't want to use these guns unless you negate their insane reload time, because then you're just spending your entire life reloading, and that's no way to play the game, and you're just losing out on damage by reloading all the time. To negate this, you either want to run fast stands, which is not that great of a talent, you lose damage otherwise, but ideally you want to have the knee pads that make it to where whenever you go cover to cover or you vault over something, you instantly reload. So you'd pretty much just, with a Negev, you'd have a 150 round mag and just spray for like a minute and then hop over, a vault or something, or vault over something and then instantly reload. That's what you'd want ideally, and then you'd free up a talent slot. Otherwise, run fast stands. For the other weapon types, by the way, if you don't have any of that, an RPK is pretty solid as well because the reload time isn't insane. But yeah, that's my tips for that. If you want an AR build, FAMAS is your best one. I believe AK is probably second. Maybe the MK16 or P416. I don't know. All I know is that you want FAMAS for sure. If you're running a sniper build, you want an SVD or an MK20. And if you're running a rifle build, you want MK17. Nothing's really changed there. Okay, in terms of the weapon talents, the talents are kind of dependent on if you're going to follow the rest of my tips, which are pretty much a stack of a whole bunch of crit chance and crit damage. But the best weapon talents coincidentally revolve around crit pretty much. So fast hands being a really good one for LMGs, and particularly for other guns, not so much because the reload time is already really short. But we'll go over some of the best ones. So strained, this can roll on any weapon type as far as I know, and except probably snipers and rifles it won't roll on. And maybe not shotguns? I don't know. Probably not shotguns either. Probably just the full auto weapons. You gain 10% crit damage for every 0.5 seconds you're firing. So if you fire for 2.5 seconds, 50% crit damage. Overall, that's just flat crit damage. Huge, very consistent amount of damage. Does not rely on you killing anything. Overall, I think this is probably the best talent right now, assuming you're stacking crit chance. Alternatively, Breadbasket is really good. Landing body shots adds a stack of bonus headshot damage to the next headshot for 10 seconds. Max stack is 3. I don't care if you literally think that you're a robot and you actually are using aimbot. This game has enough desync, enough characters head bob weaving, all types of stuff that no matter what happens, you're going to be inadvertently hitting body shots before you're hitting headshots. This talent might not be that good on console, but you're just going to be consuming this buff pretty much all the time, and I kind of just see it as a flat, like, on average 18% headshot damage kind of, but every once in a while you'll get like, a huge 105% headshot damage boosted shot, and it's just nice seeing huge numbers, to be honest, but it's really good anyways. I really don't like the argument that you have to go out of your way to hit body shots and then hit a headshot to maximize the damage out of it. You could do that, but you really don't need to. If you just use it normally and just forget about it, it's just passive damage, because nobody is good enough to only hit headshots all the time. It's literally impossible. Don't care what you say. Okay. Killer. Killer's really good. Killing an enemy with a crit grants 40% crit damage for 10 seconds. The only thing that's not that great about this is that if you're doing challenging content where you pretty much can't constantly be killing stuff, you're not going to have this buff up that much, especially if you're in a group. It relies on you actually killing with a crit, so you probably want at least 50% crit chance to use it so that half your kills give you this. But you only get the buff for 10 seconds, and you kind of have to just chain kill to constantly keep the buff up. I'm not even sure if it refreshes itself or not. It's kind of a close third, but Strained, overall, it's really good, and Breadbasket is really good too. In terms of, I feel like some people would mention Close and Personal. No. You have to be within 7 meters to the target, which means that it's probably only good on like a shotgun or something, and anyways, you're putting yourself at too much risk for that to be worth. And it's only 30% weapon damage. If you don't know, the way that weapon damage is mathematically calculated, it makes it just inferior than crit. It's kind of hard to explain, and I don't really want to go into it, but crit is simply just going to be better overall than weapon damage, so I'd much rather take, even if this is only 20% crit damage, I'd probably rather take 20%, but I mean, with something like a Negev, you'll be at 50% crit damage a large portion of the time. If you're using a sniper, you probably want like Ranger or something like that. There might be a few talents that I'm missing out on, but these are overall the best ones so far. And of course, I don't have any like exotics or anything, so I'm just not even going to be talking about that. I'm only going to be talking about, that type of thing. In terms of the attributes that you want on your gun, because you can actually get attributes now other than the core attribute. Like I said before, you want crit. Getting crit or damage to targets out of cover is particularly strong. Things like swap, speed, stability, you kind of want to avoid that. You really just want, a good, juicy amount of crit. Other stuff, really not going to benefit you that much. All right, now let's talk about the rolls on your gear. So, how it works right now is that instead of being able to get both armor and weapon damage on your gear, that doesn't work anymore. Pretty much, you have a core attribute. I'm sure that you've seen this while leveling up and stuff. Your core attribute is either going to be weapon damage, skill tier, or armor, so you have to choose between them. Personally, I'm choosing all weapon damage because the way that I see it is things kill me so fast already. If I get killed in 1 second right now, if I swap to more armor, if I double my armor and lose like a 50% weapon damage in the process, instead of dying in 1 second, I'll die in 2 seconds. Or you could, change that to instead of dying in 3 seconds, I die in 6 seconds. Maybe that's worth it. Maybe I change my mind on this, but right now I think that just going full glass cannon and just playing a little bit safer is the way to go. Kill things before they kill you, forehead. Overall, I think that's probably just what you want to do. Maybe they'll nerf the damage on the NPCs. I think the damage is a little bit much. Maybe it's intended. I don't know. But I just don't think armor's worth it. Maybe they'll up the values and then it'll be worth, but otherwise you're just pretty much going to stack full damage and go glass cannon. So, yeah, that's what you want to do there. In terms of your other rolls, you pretty much just want to be going, so here's a good example, is my backpack. You want to get flat weapon damage on your core attribute, that's always going to be your core attribute. If you want to go armor, more power to you. But for your minor attributes, at the very least, getting any like defensive thing is like useless, like 30k health, who cares? Even if that is like the max roll, like that's not very much health to even care about getting. But You can get 12% crit damage, you can get like 5.5 or maybe 6% crit chance. I'm not sure what the cap is there. You can get a decent amount of headshot damage, I believe around like 10 or so percent probably. Weapon handling, not that good, but you pretty much just want to be stacking a whole bunch of crit everywhere. Crit is just prevalent now. You can get it all over the place, and it just helps you do a whole bunch of damage for free pretty much. You don't have to worry about playing around it, landing headshots, using a certain weapon type, any of that nonsense. Crit is just very straightforward. So crit overall, that's what you want. This leads me into brand sets. So let me talk about gear sets real quick, because a lot of people are going to be like, is Striker good? Is Aces good? Is Negotiator's Dilemma good? How I feel about it at the moment is that I don't really think that it is worth using. I have not used 4-piece Negotiator, but I don't think that I'm going to. And the reason for that is that gear sets have one less attribute roll than any normal high-end would. So for example, my holster, it has a core attribute and a normal attribute, but my high-end holster has a core attribute and 2 attributes. Of course, these are pretty low rolls, but if I were to have like high rolls, I'd be like 12% crit damage, and then I could have like, a 6% crit chance there. I'm just simply losing that additional roll on this gear set, and I'm doing that only for a 3-piece bonus. The 3-piece bonus is good though, like crit chance and crit damage is good. I think the reason I'm using it right now is because it's like starter gear, but once I get exactly what I want, it's not worth it, because just me using these 3 pieces, I'm losing, let's say that I wanted, crit damage. So let's say that I was missing out on 12% crit damage on all these pieces. That means that for me to use 3 pieces, I'm losing 36% crit damage. But on top of that, in those 3 pieces, I could have used, some brand sets. I could have used, 1-piece Sombra, which gives me crit damage. I could have used, Providence 3-piece, headshot damage, crit chance, and crit damage. If I were to just use 3-piece Providence over 3-piece Negotiator, I simply just make that back. You could make the argument for 4-piece. I haven't tried 4-piece Negotiator, but in the instance of like 4-piece Striker, you'd want it on your chest and your backpack, and that means that you're losing both your chest talent, your backpack talent, you're losing 4 pieces of gear, which could have brand sets, and you're losing 4 sets of additional attributes, which would literally mean, like 48% crit damage that you're losing? Like, you're losing so much just to get that. And then Striker's like, best case scenario, all the time you have 50% weapon damage. That by itself is not better than 48% crit damage, and that doesn't even take into the fact that you're losing 4 brand sets that could potentially be high ends or certain named rolls, which I'll get into in a minute. So overall, I think gear sets are okay, but I think high ends are simply just going to overtake them in overall damage. Maybe I change my mind on this, but right now crit is just so strong, you can get it everywhere, that I don't think gear sets are really all that strong. But with that being said, I'm using it right now because I don't have the perfect high ends. The perfect high ends that you want, I'm just going to name the brand sets that are good. Like I said before, Sombra 1-piece for 15% crit's good. If you're using SMGs, Sokolov's pretty good for crit. What's it called? Providence 3-piece is pretty strong. Using any of the 1-pieces like Petrov or anything just to get your LMG damage is pretty okay. Weapon damage is not as good as crit though, but hey, it's still pretty good. Other than that, there's Sesko, which gives you crit chance. And anywhere else you can pretty much fill in the blank. Where I would fill in the blank with, I'd pretty much use like a bunch of 1-sets, and then I'd fill in the blank with named items. The named items that are really good so far, I know of 2 of them, there might be a few more that are pretty good. But the named items that I would try to slot into your build, or exotic pieces of gear that you might want to slot in, like the exotic holster or something like that, which might end up being really strong. But some of the named items you want is the Contractor's Gloves. Gives you a bonus, like it has like an extra, not extra, but like its special own attribute, which is 11% damage armor. That's really good, especially if you're using LMGs. That's just free damage. And then same thing with the named knee pads. You just get 15% damage to targets out of cover. I might make a video on how to get named items, but it's pretty much just farm in areas where an Overlord or Petrov has a higher chance to drop, and then you'll inevitably get it. I got my Overlord knee pads doing the very first control point with targeted loot of Overlord. Shouldn't take that long to get, but these named items have special attributes that are very good. It's pretty much only worth though for like min-maxing. It's overall the extra damage that you're getting from those special attributes is not that much more than like normal sets would be, and going for 3-piece Providence or something might end up being a little bit better or just a little bit easier to do. And of course there are exotics like the exotic knee pads, exotic holster, etc. Going over talents, there's only 2 talents you need to worry about. There's your chest and your backpack. For your backpack for solo content, I'd go Unstoppable Force, because you just get weapon damage all the time and you can reset it over and over again. But Overall, I think concussion is better because headshots increase your weapon damage by 10% for 1.5 seconds. If you keep getting headshots, it just refreshes over and over again, and then a headshot kill increases your total weapon damage by 15%. Overall, this is not really all that strong, but it's pretty decent, and in a group setting, you'll at least have the 10% weapon damage up almost all the time. Unstoppable Force is really good too, especially if you're not landing, headshots all the time. Unstoppable Force is they're both consistent in their own ways. Other than that, I have not seen anything that like really grants you all that much damage. There's some things that are like good with skills, but that kind of depends on what your groups are running, like Overclock, Companion, etc. Those are okay, but honestly, Concussion and stuff is just more consistent, and it's like free. You don't have to worry about people using skills or anything. For your chest piece, there's only 2 talents I know of that are very good. I would honestly more so focus on the rolls on your chest piece and try and actually get like, good mods and stuff. By the way, you just want a mod with crit damage and crit chance. If you have an offensive mod slot, just throw in crit chance and crit damage. If you have a defensive mod slot, I don't even know. Probably just armor on kill. I don't even know if you can get flat health or not. But really, it's pretty insignificant anyways. But for your chest piece talent, none of these are really all that good. Like, some of them are okay. Entrench is some good for survivability. Perfect Glass Cannon, which makes you do 25% more damage, but you take 50% more. That's pretty good, but you'll get shredded even more than you already do. Brace is okay for weapon handling. Obliterate is okay, but it's like 15% weapon damage if you keep critting over and over again. Like, none of these chest talents are really all that good. So I'd really just kind of focus on whatever brand set you want, as well as getting the right roles in the attribute slots, and that's going to be more impactful than getting the right talent would be. And if you want to go survivability here, you're more than welcome to. What else do we have to talk about? Specializations. Pretty much, if you're using an LMG, go gunner. If you're using an AR, go gunner. You get 10% bonus armor on kill. Every third reload is faster. Armor kit is really good. 5% rate of fire on kill. You generate armor, which is okay. You get weapon handling when you stand still, which is surprisingly really strong. This is really good overall, and the minigun does some pretty good damage. But if you want to use something else, it's really not a big deal. If it's like a preference thing, to just go for it. You're not going to lose out on like an insane amount of damage. Of course, if you're sniping, sharpshooter is a pretty obvious choice there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. In terms of skills, I could be wrong. You can test a lot of these things. Decoy is okay. Reviver Hive seems to be kind of like a default choice for a glass cannon build. Defender Drone is nice because it doesn't scale off of anything. It just helps you kind of defend some stuff. Chem Launcher doesn't heal you for shit really much anymore. Like 200k HP I guess is okay, but it really doesn't seem to heal me that much in practice. If you want to use that instead of like, the Defender Drone or something, that is perfectly fine. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, please make sure to drop a like. Let me know down in the comments how you feel about this video, if there's anything I could have done better, if you enjoyed it, if there's any videos you'd like to see in the future. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.